cool times 2000. Gang gang to my cats. Sup to all my ducks. It's your boy, the American Sniper, aka the Bradley Cooper of NFTs. And I'm with my guy, Franklin, the owner of 30 Bored Apes, as he says in his Twitter. I'm going to drop all his social media links below, but this guy's a legend I'm talking to right now. Franklin, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Great. The Twitter is at Election Day Mad1.
Yeah, I started that on election day. There's, a lot of, I guess, betting going with the election. So it's last November, and I just wanted to start it to see the news and see if there was any plays I could make based on counting the results. And then after that, there's prediction websites. One I like to shout out is called Polymarket that uses USDC on the Polygon chain. So that was kind of how I could get all my money into crypto and kind of work with trading on, I guess, prediction of news and sports and the election. So I just made that Twitter account, kind of as an anonymous way to follow people, follow news, follow the influencers, and then just slowly got more into crypto, more into stocks, and then eventually fell onto Top Shot, and then NFTs, and then boom, here we are. So I never thought about changing my name because it's still everything happened so quickly that I didn't have a chance to start just a strictly NFT account.
Yeah.
So I just stayed with the same one and kept going.
Yeah, you started the way a lot of other people started with Top Shot.
Mm-hmm.
You seem like a very calculated guy. And so the first thing I just want to ask you about is how did you have the foresight did you mint all 30 of your Bored Apes? How did you have the foresight that this was going to be a successful project? And how did you know to accumulate so much so early?
So yeah, with Top Shot, I got into it early March. So it was right at the peak of the market when they decided to kind of sort of spread it out to the masses. So it wasn't really a lot of money to be made from March on. So I spent that time just doing research, following people on Twitter, as many people as I could. Anybody with an NFT profile picture, I thought was pretty cool. CryptoPunk profile picture, was following not as closely as we do now, but noticing the rise of the CryptoPunk and having him status symbol. And then every night or so I'd go check Top Shot to see if there were any very, very early mints that I could kind of stash away. Not expecting to make any money off of, but just keep just in case something happened. And then all of a sudden, I see on Twitter a lot of the now I guess influencers, but people who are pretty big on Top Shot who I follow change their profile pictures to apes. So I was like, this is interesting. And like I mentioned, I sort of had a crypto background, just moving money onto MetaMask and off of MetaMask and onto Polygon and stuff. So not really buying anything with it. But at least I had my phone MetaMask set up where I could kind of send money over from my centralized wallet to MetaMask and connect it to Bored Ape Yacht Club page. So I eventually minted 3 apes. I figured I have one to keep, and then one to maybe flip, and then one to kind of gamble on. So I did 3. It ran me 0.24 ETH plus gas. At that time I was like, man, gas is pretty high. It's 0.02, 0.03 gas. There's not really gas wars, but I could see the FOMO just happen. I could see the number of mints that were happening, and it was just raising every time I hit refresh. It go up to 6,000 and 7,000, 8,000. And Frankie said he minted 1,000. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm on the right track here. So after I minted those 3, I decided to hold off. I think I might have tried to mint some more and realized they were sold out. So I was like, hey, you know what? I made it in. We'll see what happens. The following morning, I actually checked this last week just to make sure, because I kind of forgot. I bought 11 apes. I just tried to find the cheapest price, like 0.15 to 0.2 ETH. At that time, that was pretty much the only thing I knew what to buy. I knew how to look up, and they had all the properties and rarities figured out. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get some rare apes. Who knows what that would entail. After I bought those 11, either bought 11 or I had 11. Either way, I saw the gold ape because Pranksy had tweeted that 2 of his sold, and so actually one of his sold, and then I went to go buy another one, and I saw that it got sold. So it was those were 3 ETH each. And then the one I got, that's my profile picture now, was 4 ETH. So I was kind of upset that I had to pay like 33% extra for an ape, a whole ETH. And I'm like, I was like, nervous. Like I've never bought, NFTs. I bought one Top Shot that was worth more, but not like a picture of an ape, at that time that was kind of unheard of. So after that, I just kept buying more and more until I got to 30, until I pretty much ran out of money. And the rest is history. I mean, I probably bought and sold maybe like 50 or 60, but just kind of kept my numbers around 25 to 30. And I eventually, when Mutants came out, I made it a goal to get back to 30. So here I am. Hopefully I can keep this 30 as long as possible. Maybe if the market heats up, I could sell one and get back in a lower price, but we'll see. At least for now, it's a good marketing tactic where, you see I have 30 apes and now here I am with the interview. So I'm trying to use it in the best way as possible.
You've got
that's pretty much my story of how I got started with apes.
You've got quite the starting lineup. You boast 30 apes, a punk, which you're the people's punk, of course, and then you also have a conger, which I'm a huge Cyberkongz guy. So you've got a great starting lineup there. And one thing that I think resonates with that story is you don't necessarily need to mint 10 or 20 or 30 of these to begin with. If you have conviction, it's just as smart to make a play at 0.2, 0.5, or you even mentioned getting some rares at 4 ETH. So I definitely can relate to that. That's been a bit of my strategy, is not always to mint, but kind of suss out the market and see what's going on. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about how you eventually did get your CryptoPunk? I
still had about, let's say, between 20 and 30 apes. I was in the Ghost project a lot. Nice. We can talk about that later, but I put about 8 or 9 or 10 ETH in there, made some good moves, and it was getting to that time where I could kind of go either way. I can kind of get into some more apes, or just let my money sit, or save up for a CryptoPunk. And I think around that time, the CryptoPunk floor was about, it's laughable now, but it was about 12 to 15 ETH as crypto kind of crashed between mid-May and mid-June. So CryptoPunks kind of had their really long lull as apes and other projects were getting hyped. It's kind of like, what's the point of having a CryptoPunk? People kind of forgot about them. But I kind of wanted to get one just to complete many months long goal of mine. I didn't know if I would be able to do it because apes were so enticing. At 1 or 2 ETH each, I was like, you know what, I can still get some more apes. So eventually they had a surprise dog announcement where we could claim our dogs for free, just pay gas. And so it's like I went from having no ETH in my account, maybe like 1 or 2, to having like 15, 20 ETH because I immediately sold those unrevealed dogs for about 0.6, 0.7 ETH. So I had enough to buy a CryptoPunk and went into the NFTX liquidity pool to kind of fish out. I did a couple tries and I saw that number. So that was the one I ended up with. And yeah, it turned out to be a great investment. But as far, the floor price being over 100 ETH now, but that was just definitely a life goal that was achieved rather easily because it was just basically Bored Ape Yacht Club just dumped some dogs on us and I got a punk out of it. So that was a very, very fun experience. We always have wins and losses. A lot of those unrevealed dogs were rare. One of them was gold, 2 of them were trippy. I got FOMO for a gold when they got revealed, so I traded it in a second punk that I got using dog money. I traded in a second punk for a gold dog, which obviously the punk became a lot more valuable, but at least I have a gold dog. So that, it's not always up only with your NFTs, but I'm glad to have, the dog I wanted and at least still have a punk.
Yeah, most of your moves have been prophetic, but I think it's important to highlight some of the learning experiences across the way. I've had them. I think anyone who's invested in anything has taken L's or had learning experiences. Obviously, if you could go back to to talk to yourself in April or May, you'd buy more apes, buy more punks. Mm-hmm. But what else advice would you give yourself? Those months ago. What are some of the other things, just in general, things that you wish you would have done?
Yeah, back in around the April, May timeframe, I was mostly a Top Shot kind of maxi. I would just, I didn't really have a strategy for it. I was just buying, hoping that we were still early, but maybe I was a little bit too late for that. Um, so I didn't really expand into Ethereum or Solana or Polygon, any of those blockchains for NFTs until the Apes came out. Um, yeah, of course, buying more Apes would have been a good move. I hadn't even hear of Cyberkongz until maybe August or September, or I'll say August. So they were out in March. So obviously, if I had done my research in NFTs, I would have found out about Cyberkongz a lot more earlier, and they were still fairly cheap. So I could have had a lot more of those. So I think the two, at least telling the March, April, May version of myself is just to get into those profile picture projects that may not have been as expensive as CryptoPunks, but have stood the test of time, which are the first it was Cyberkongz and then the Apes. Also, Hash Masks did a good job of launching. I don't own any right now, but I noticed their floor did at least double between early August and now.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you'd love to go back and get more of those apes and stuff like that. But looking ahead, what do you look for right now in projects? Obviously, most would say, hey, Franklin, give it a rest, give us a chance. Don't take all the great NFTs. But what are you looking for right now in this marketplace? And also, are there any specific projects that you're a part of or communities that you've really responded to recently?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, I mean, with Ethereum, and or at least Bitcoin near all-time high, a lot of people seem to be not spending much on NFTs, which has decreased the price of a lot of projects. I know when Cyberkongz, they before doubled and then went right back to where it was at the beginning of the month. Apes kind of stayed the same, but a lot of these other projects have gone down by 20, 30, 40%. So it's a good time to buy the dips for people who just now getting in, who are like, I don't have 9, 10 ETH to buy a cool cat or 4 or 5 ETH to buy a cryptodes. I always suggest they look into liquidity pools where they can buy fractions of those NFTs through NFTX or NFT 20. And once you get a certain fraction, once you buy enough fractions, you can trade in for an actual NFT. So you can actually get the growth in that price of said NFTs without owning it. And that's really, a good way to invest in blue chips, especially CryptoPunks. Obviously, from maybe a week ago to now, nobody really would have made a lot of money off of a growing floor price. But if you really believe in NFTs, you always say, buy the dip. So now is a good time to start stacking up money, or maybe you can wait for more dips. So this is definitely an interesting time that, we didn't see this in, when Apes came out. I mean, there were some dips, but not, but the market was a lot smaller. So there was room for it to grow. Now that we've pretty much grown so much and with the markets down overall, it's like, well, you know, that doesn't happen often. So my guess is as good as yours to what would happen next. But I think we can still achieve those all-time highs that we saw around the beginning of October and around the beginning of September. So I say, just keep investing in blue chips, and if you can afford them, buy some fractions. And then I'm here to answer any questions if anybody wants to message me about how to buy those fractions. It's a pretty simple process. So that's pretty much my advice. The two teams that I'm really excited about are Smiles Versus, which they don't have a release date yet, but I'm on the team help now. I invested in an artist called, his name is Wahid, but he goes by All Smiles. Does a lot of hip hop themed art, and the Discord has grown, very organically. Having fun with it. I own several of his pieces that I was able to sell off to get more people access to the whitelist for this project. So be on the lookout for Smiles Versus. Another one that just released actually today, a video called Hape Beast, Hape.
I did see that.
Yeah. The artist, his name is Digimental. He made a House of Kiba 3D ape diction version of my gold ape in early August, and I kind of put it, to the side. Not that I forgot about it, but it was just, I wasn't going to like hype it up or sell it or anything. And then he DMs me yesterday, invited me to his Discord for his project. So I'm like, we all get Discord invites all the time. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll join it. And I was like the 40th guy, and he's like, welcome, Franklin. I'm like, hi. And then I turn my, it's a reflex. You turn your notifications off. Then all of a sudden, I get a random DM this afternoon from a guy's like, hey, how'd you get the Genesis role? That's what he gave me for joining. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't really do anything. Yeah, he made a picture for me. So that piqued me to go check the Discord, and there's like 14 pings on it, notifications. Yeah, I checked. There's like 11,000 members. Now it's over 13,000. This is like in the past 2 hours. So I'm like, what in the world happened? I was number 40 yesterday, like 24 hours ago, and now it's 13,000 people in there. And so you try to scroll up to like catch up, and it's impossible. So
you might have to update your Twitter at some point and add, Genesis Hape.
I know. Good grief! Like that was definitely a stroke of luck, because first I had to get an ape, and then get the ape redemption from House of Kibba, and then somehow connect with him on Twitter. I might have seen a post that he made of somebody else's ape, and I was like, hey, you should do mine. So now I have one of the Genesis. Some guys bidding 0.5 wrapped ETH on it. I'm not going to accept it, because the price just blew up. I can't just give up my role like that. That's way too low of a price. So, that's just some good advice. Both of those projects, I invested in the artist, I guess relatively early. I got All Smiles before he even minted his Genesis piece. I saw PC. He had made a meme of a popular meme of Young Thug and Lil Durk, and I lost it. So I've like lost pretty much every auction that he's had, but I've hyped him up so much that that's helped me out. So it's really important to, in times of where these, big projects aren't really doing too hot as far as making instant 5x, 10x gains, you can invest in artists, who are just getting started, who you really think they make great art with a good social media presence. Anything can happen. So that's those two projects are definitely like the results of just getting in early. The art looks good, so you should be able to, hype them up. Other people like it too, if you like.
You definitely had me with the Little Durk Young Thug meme.
Have you seen that yet?
Is it the one? I don't think I've seen the artwork, but I've seen the meme where it's like Young Thug showing Durk something on the computer.
Yeah. So he made. So if you're familiar with his art, he made like a 3D. That was his first NFT. I think a friend of his kind of helped him with the process of getting it auctioned off. So it wasn't really part of his his main collection, but it was really his first NFT, and it sold for under 0.6 ETH. But I was pushing the auction price up pretty high, but I was too nervous. I was like, should I buy this or buy an ape? So obviously, it was only 0.5 ETH. I could have bought it, but at the time I was like, that was expensive for an ape. That was a rare ape price. So I was like, man. But I definitely like hype. I wanted to make sure I bid it. The bids are going up, by like a couple hundreds of ETH, but I always bet like 0.1 ETH more just to kind of boost it up a little bit. So yeah, I'll send you a link to that piece. It's pretty funny, because it's it's the meme, but it's like in 3D form, and like looking back at it, how far he's gone since, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think, and I'll link both of those projects below in the description of the video. So guys, check those out. The other important thing, as we learned, is to contact you on Twitter. Again, he said if his DMs are open for any questions, election day, Mad1, Franklin's your guy for that. But just to go back real quick to those two projects, I think the thing that makes me bullish about the ideas you mentioned there, and I haven't done the research, but I just feel like streetwear or street brands and hip hop have been underserviced in the NFT community so far. So I think for Hape Beast and All Smiles, those are two projects that I definitely want to do more research into. So I appreciate that. And like I said, guys, make sure you follow Franklin on Twitter, because he's an alpha factory. He's got great GM tweets. You got to watch out for the Franklin. He's all his apes say GM in the morning, so you got to love that. But thank you again for coming on today. And for my end, guys, click subscribe, click like, so I can keep interviewing cool people like Franklin. And yeah, man, thanks so much for hopping on with me today.
Thank you. You take care and good luck. I hope your channel takes off. We're still early in the NFT, so I'm definitely gonna hype you up. I got 2 YouTube accounts. I'm gonna subscribe from them, so I'll get all your videos.
We're going straight to the moon, but first we're all gonna say gang, gang.